Hello, everyone, and welcome to Birdview's weekly workshop. So I'm excited to have you all join today. Our weekly workshops take place every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. Pacific. We cover a different topic each week, and you can register for each of these workshops through our website under the Events tab, or you can simply click on the link that's displayed on the screen right now. I encourage you all to join as many of these sessions as possible so that you can learn tips and tricks on how to make the most of Birdview for your work. With each session, we start off with a demo on the topic that we're going to be covering, and then we use the last 10 minutes to go over any questions that you may all have. So please feel free to send in your questions in the chat. We also have a Q&A option in here, as well as if you would like to raise your hand virtually, we will get to your questions as soon as we're done with the demo part of the session. So our topic today is the resource loading simulator that's helping you plan for the future. So we'll start off with learning what the simulator is within the system, when it should be used, and how you can leverage it to understand your team's potential to take on projects in the future. And finally, we'll go over
restriping their standard striping.
Is it possible for everyone to please mute yourselves while we're on the webinar? Thanks very much.
So it's just the new striping down that box.
The site plan should be on here, which is they want it in chat here.
Okay. Just making sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, this is the site, current site.
All right. Okay, so as I was saying, we'll learn what a simulator is, when it should be used, and how you can leverage it to understand your team's potential on taking on projects in the future. And finally, we'll go over a few points that are good to know when you use a simulator. All right, so what is a simulator? So the resource loading simulator within Birdview can be found under the resources tab. So I'm just going to jump on over to the resources tab. You do have two options, the workload option and the simulation. So the simulator is mostly used by project managers and portfolio managers to assess the possibility of accommodating a project with certain assignees within a specified time period. All right, so it can be used not only to assess the possibility of accommodating a project, but you can also use it for things like planning your resources for the future, as well as assessing the company's resource needs, so to make hiring decisions as well. So let's say you have your high season or peak season coming in, let's say in the month of August of 2023, and you aren't sure whether or not you have enough resources to manage those projects. You can use the system to plug in those dates, and then the system is going to give you what your current state is in terms of your resources and their workload. And then you can make the decision as to whether you need to hire team members now so that you can train them and they will be ready for that peak season in August. So that's one of the ways that you can use it. So how exactly can it be used? So let's put in a few examples here. So one is you can always name your project right from the beginning itself. In this case, I'm just going to leave that blank for now. And you start off with putting in a few dates. So let's say we have a project that's coming in the month of June, starting on the 19th, and it's going on until the 23rd. So it's a short project, just 5 days in this case. I can pick my team members based either on skills or by their name or the team that they belong to. So for this example, I'm going to start with picking by name. I'm going to pick myself, and I'm going to also pick the admin team. So it's going to pick everyone that belongs to the admin team. And then what I'm going to do is ask the system to find me best matches. All right, so when I do that, it's going to give me certain information here that I can use to decide whether or not I move ahead with this project. So everything appears to be red here. And the reason is, if we're looking at these dates, June 19th to June 23rd, we have myself, that is 102% overloaded, Fabian 6%, Brenda 4%, and Chrisley 4%. So if I want to look at more information, why are these team members overloaded during this time? I can click on this option right here. It says here that 4 assignees might be overloaded by 31.2 hours. So if I click on that and scroll down further, it's breaking this information up and telling me that if I were to be assigned to this project, I'm going to be overloaded by 25.38 hours. These are the projects that I'm working on at the same time. I have the same information for Fabian, who will be working on Creation for Clavin Black as the project, and Brenda, that's assigned to Riitsinen, and Chrisley as well, that's assigned to Riitsinen. And it's telling me exactly how many hours each of these team members is going to be overloaded if I were to assign them to this project that starts on June 19th and ends on June 23rd. Now it's up to me as a project manager. I can decide to go ahead and create this project as a draft if I want to, because our system does accommodate the requirement to add overtime to team members. Or I can make some changes to make sure that we are falling within that specified resource requirement before I create the project. So let's say I'm looking here, and it looks like since I'm going to be 102% over allocated, I'm going to remove myself from this option. And I might not need to have Fabian, Brenda, and Chrisley working 100% of their time on this project. So I can move this workload around as well. Let's say I move the workload for Fabian to 40%, to Brenda to 55%, and Chrisley is 60%. I can move this around and I can refresh. In this case, with this specific selection, it's now a good option for me to go ahead with this project with these team members. It shows as blue, and I can then go ahead and create that project if I would like to. So because this is a simulator, it's not going to create the project on its own. You will have to click on this create project as draft, and then you can move it over to an open project as and when the time is right for you to do this. All right, so this is a great option for you to use if you are looking at specific team members or looking at an entire team to see whether they are available to work on a project. Now, the second option that you have is you can also add skills to your team members. And if you have, let's say, the requirement to add a skilled team member to a project, and you aren't sure who that person's going to be and if they are available, it can be used for that option as well. So let's switch these up a little bit. Let's say you have a project starting the 26th of June, ending the 30th of June, and you need someone with a specific skill. So I'm going to select from a list of skills that we have here. I'm going to select the Python option. So I need someone that is skilled in Python, and I hit refresh. So the system again has come back with a few options. I have 3 team members, like you can see this 3 with the arrow mark. The first one is Jerry, who is going to be overloaded by 3%. And again, if I click right here, it's going to tell me why. And it looks like Jerry's been assigned to this project and he's going to be overloaded by 1 hour and 3 minutes. If I scroll on over to the next option, Mishna is going to be overloaded by 25%. And again, we can see why. So it looks like Mishna is going to be overloaded by 8 hours because of personal schedule or vacation. So she's probably on vacation, maybe has a training going on. but it's not because of a project that she's been assigned to, it's because of something else. And the third option is Greg, who will be overloaded by 31% because he's going to have 12.28 hours that are already assigned to another project that he's working on that's called May to July. So this is a great option for me to pick a team member that has a specific skill. In this case, my best option would be to go with Jerry and either reduce his workload on this. Let's say I reduce his workload, or I'm also open to giving him an hour of overload as well. Sorry, an hour of overtime as well. In this case, if we're not looking at scheduling someone for 100% of their time, Mishna is an option that's open. Greg is also an option that's open, and Jerry is also open. So it really depends on how much time I want to assign to them. So this is the way that you can use a system to help with finding someone with the right skills in the system. So this simulator is used mostly by project managers and portfolio managers to figure out whether or not they have the resources available to work on a project. And it doesn't always have to be for projects in the future. You can also put in existing dates. Let's say you needed to add an extra resource to a project that's currently running. This is a good option to use as well. Now, what are some of the things that are good to know or good to keep in mind when you use a simulator? So one of the things is that none of what you are doing here is going to automatically create projects. You are going to have to convert them to a draft project and then transfer them over to an open project. And the reason is because the term simulator means that we're just simulating a situation of what could be rather than creating an actual project for team members in the system. It makes sure that we're not coming in the way of any of the existing ongoing projects or disrupting any of the existing hours that have been assigned to team members, but it's kind of just giving you a what if scenario for projects that you could get in the future. The second option is, the second thing that's good to know is that you don't necessarily have to have the start dates and the end dates plugged in for this. If you have a project that's coming in, let's say in the month of July, you know it's going to start on the 17th, but you're not quite sure when it's going to end. So you don't have to, give me a second. You don't have to put in those end dates right here. You can simply just put in a start date and maybe put in the duration. You know that this project is going to take 50 days and it's automatically going to calculate that end date for you. Another thing that's good to know is that you should have your skills plugged into the system as well as your team member's personal schedule, because that's what's also going to influence the availability that you will see after you click on Find Best Matches, right? So the way to do that is within company settings. This is also permission based. So if you have the permission to add users and edit user options, you will be able to see this and make the appropriate selections. So I'm going to pick Brenda right here. Within Brenda's profile, I can add the teams that she's assigned to. I can also add the skills. So if I click here on skills, I have a list of skills that's in the system. If she possesses a skill that's not part of this list and I would like to add it, I can simply start by typing. So let's say she is also skilled at being an analyst. I can simply type that and then click on this plus sign. It's going to add the option of analyst in the system as well. You can also look at her personal schedule and set it accordingly. In this case, Brenda works 8 hours a day, 5 days a week from Monday to Friday. But again, each team member might have a separate schedule, and so that can be plugged in as well right here in the system. That's what's going to accurately give you the availability of your team when you are within the simulation option. All right, so those are some of the things that are good to know when you use the simulator. Do we have any questions on this topic or anything that you would like me to go over again? All right, so our topic for next week is Birdview's new and improved resource management module. We've made several improvements and additions to the resource management module in the last few months, and I'm going to take you through what those are and what the upcoming improvements are going to be in the future as well. And the month of June is dedicated to reporting within Birdview. So we'll start off our first week. It's going to be focused on an introduction to reporting and dashboards. So we'll talk about the different ways that you can report within the system and how you can create your own reports as well. Once again, you can register for these weekly workshops through our website or simply use the link on the screen. If you are on our website, you can click the events tab and you're going to see these workshops there. You can you also have the option to kind of sign up for multiple workshops at one time, not just one every week. And we also have our monthly webinar coming up tomorrow. The topic this month is building support and engagement for your organizational success. So we're going to have panelists from 3 different companies to share their success stories and how they have leveraged Birdview to help them within their companies and within their teams. So you can register for the webinar as well through the events tab and the link on the screen. Thanks everyone for joining today. I hope that the session was helpful for you. Your suggestions are always welcome. So if you do have any recommendations for topics that you would like us to cover in the future, please do send in your responses to our success email, the one that you can see on the screen right now. Besides suggestions or recommendations for topics, if you still have questions on this topic that we've covered today or any of the topics from the past as well, please do send in those questions. And usually we are very quick to answer this email, so you should get your response quite soon as well. Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice day. See you next week.